A slight sort of teaser trailer on the concept of halting. I'll do another attempt to go into the phenomenology later, or probably later today. But just to prepare the groundwork, try to thematize. One, there's a problem of how does something like mens rea rise up into the Roman law, which is the kind of remember the whole the German reverence for logic, as Mishima put it, stems out of the. I think Ursula von der Leyen still mentioned this. The core of Europe is the part, at least part, a large part of it is the Roman law. So, and also I think in this country, the most powerful of the, judged by how influential and often cited in the legal journals was Epstein, Richard Epstein, until recently. He's still alive, but I think he's kind of semi-retired. Was a big expert on the Roman law, and he tried to revivify it to a great extent. But the Roman law, unlike I think law of Manu or Hindu law, is much more based on saying, look, we can convince you that these things are reasonable, and then the negative side of that would probably be like brainwashing. It would be put down as brainwashing. Many people are whatever, but the positive side is large communities do these things because they think it makes sense, and then connect it to mens rea on a more primordial level. I think that's what I want to get to, is if philosophy is the a priori is to be grounded, something like the a priori or consciousness, which are almost the same concept, seems to arise because of the Haltung, or in German it's called Haltung, but attitude, we could call it, is like, instead of just being, if you think of a situation where you're simply involved in action, I think kind of like, if you look at a Jason Statham movie, you see that kind of, he embodies that in a lot of ways, like somebody who's totally uninterrupted, involved in carrying out action, like they say in the samurai could carry out one last act after it's been pierced in the heart or something, or his head is cut off, the body would still carry out the act. It's something totally uninterrupted and self-absorbed. But people say, like, get a hold of yourself or something like that, and then it's like there's the Haltung, and then the standing back into the theoretical attitude. Something like that is what I want to try to. So now we're just saying it, but can we show it better phenomenologically what this idea is based on, this split? So just sort of as a formal indication, as it were, we can say the split between inner and outer has to do with the Haltung, or taking an attitude towards things, which then, because how could there be, when we talk about outer, we mean like this, that we're in the world, but then we have the Haltung is like sort of like, how do you want to deal with this situation? How do you gonna, I remember Sharon Stone saying she realized she was getting older, and that she just like took a hold of herself, shook herself, said to, how are you going to face up to this? Like, how are you going to, you have to get older, you have to, how are you going to bear this thing? What's your attitude towards it to be? So it's kind of a theoretical moment in her life, then I think. Or I think of, what made me think of the Statham example is partially like a baseball player. They say like, I think of like Will Clark, first baseman in the 80s, who was not who was kind of an all-around player, but not a big power hitter. I say you have to already swing long before the ball is. You have to already have sort of decided how you're going to swing. It's a pre-action, which to me kind of shows, like the pitcher. Once you get a certain sign from the pitcher, and then you think this is what kind of pitch is coming in, you're already swinging. Otherwise, it wouldn't be physically possible to wait to see what the pitch was like, because it's too fast. It has to be a built-in sort of pre-reaction. I think something like that reminds me of this sort of collapse of the inner and outer, where they both, the action just happens, as it were, and it's not a matter of being self-absorbed or of standing back in a theoretical attitude and trying to calmly decide how to do it. But it shows like an origin of this split, possibly. And so, okay, I tried to do something that shows how from this we're asking, how is Dasein to be separated from being, so that there's like sort of something before this split between a question of something one is simply either the notion of subjectivity as being totally absorbed, like we perhaps think an animal is, or of being having this halting or this attitude situation where you stand back and say, oh, I'm taking a hold of myself, looking at the situation logically, and then the legal system wants to ask, well, what was he thinking when he was in that standing back situation where he was deliberating over what he was going to do, or deciding in some way what he was going to do. And then this is in a certain way a lot of prejudices towards the Western philosophy have to do with the fact that it's prefigured by the super seriousness of the legal analysis that goes with it.